Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make this dress. So someone sent it to me. I think it's the sleeve or the bottom part that is confusing for her, so I'm going to try to get to the to explain to you guys how to make that. So we're going to start with just a basic body. So for this fabric, for this style, you might need about 3 yards of fabric depending on how you want to cut the bottom and the length you want yours to be. So there are 2 ways to cut the bottom part, but we'll get to that later. Let's just go ahead and draft a basic. This is the first one and then this is the second one. Both are folded into 2. The second one is extended by at least 1 inch for my zipper allowance, and the width of this first one is just my bust divided by 4 plus 1 inch extra for my seam allowance. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and just draft a basic bodice. So go up to the shoulder, my shoulder divided by 2. Since this is going to be a sleeveless, I'm going to subtract 1 from it. So normally my shoulder divided by 2 would have been 8, but subtract 1 from it, 7. And then I'm going to just come down. I'm going to rush through this part here, 1 inch, and then insert my armhole, which you're going to get this length by dividing your bust by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you get is going to be the length you use here. So mark that. I'm also going to go ahead and insert my bust divided by round my bust measurement divided by 4. So go ahead and mark it and then add my seam allowance. And then give it a curve for the armhole. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark my waist divided by 4. So waist measurement divided by 4, mark it. Down here I'm going to add 2 inches, 1 inch of that and 1 inch of seam allowance. And that is it for our basic bodice, right? So I'm just going to connect here. If you want, you can use princess dart for this, but I'm just going to use the basic bodice here. Connect it here. And then, so for the neckline, I'm going to go ahead and mark 3 inches of neck width. Connect the 1 inch of shoulder slope to this point here, like this. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out like this. But before you cut it out, I'm also going to go ahead and mark 1 inch for the neck depth. That way I will know where my neckline is, right? So I'm going to cut 1 inch here, cut the shoulder slope, and then every other thing out. So guys, this is what I cut out here. So the side here, the excess here, and then the armhole part here, and then the shoulder slope, and then this little 1 inch here. So this is our basic bodice, right? And then as you can see, I also went ahead and opened up the back. So now we have 2 back panels and 1 front panel, right? So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and mark where my dart is going to be. So for your dart, you would do your nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus 1. Your nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus half an inch. So which was going to be, for me, 4 inches. For me, that is 4 inches plus half an inch is going to be 4.5. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it somewhere here. This is what I have. So I've gone ahead and marked my dart, like I said, 4.5. And then the length of the dart in front is going to be my shoulder to my nipple, which is at 12. But it's going to stop 1 inch before that, so that is 13. That is the length of my dart in front. The length I have here is about 18 inches from shoulder to here. Because my half length is 17, I added 1 inch to it, so that is 18. Half an inch to join the shoulder, half an inch to join the bottom together. So that's why I have 18 inches here. 1 inch of it is going to be my seam allowance. So the dart in front, you see where my dart stopped, 1 inch before the nipple line. I'm going to mark it on the 2 sides, but on the 2 sides of the back, which is this one here with my zipper allowance, my dart is going to stop the same way, the same place my armhole stopped, right here. That is where it's going to stop. The same way I marked 4 inches here, 4.5 here, and then bring it up to that point. So that is how you're going to do it. You can go ahead and just notch it so that you know that on this same point here, all I have to do is just to drag this line up, this notch that I've made here, drag it up and stop here at my chest line. This is where my dart at the back will stop. And then another thing I like to do for the back is that I'm going to go up here 1 inch and then I'm going to connect it to the end of this hair. This is because your back is most times is shorter than the front, so you don't want your zip to bulk up, right? And if you want, you can also use a side zip instead of a center zip for the back, but I want to use center back zip. So now that if you decided to use center side zip, that means your zip is going to be on the side without the shoulder, right? That's the because it's one shoulder, so the side without the shoulder, that is the part where you're going to add your zip. So that means your bodice is going to look something like this front panel into two without any zipper allowance. So you're just going to cut something that is joined together like this, two of it, one for front, one for the back. And then when you cut off the shoulder on one side, then this side is going to have your zipper. So but that's not what we are doing here. So now the next thing is that the length of my dress, right, before I even cut off the shoulder that I want to cut off now, the length of my dress is going to be 37. My half length is 17, like I already said. So that means the bottom of my dress will be 20, right? The bottom of my dress will be 20. Half of my shoulder to waist 17 plus 20, 37, which is the full length of our dress. So now what I'm going to do is this 20 now, it depends on you how you want to do yours. Like let's say your waist is 30, right? So you can do, it depends on how you want the gather to be. So you can do, let's say your waist, like I said, your waist is 30. So the width of the fabric you use to make the gather, let's say this is the fabric you want to use to make your gather, right? This is on a fold. So let's say this is the width, the width. So what you're going to do is, if you have enough fabric, you can do 30 times 2.5. So that would be the width of the width for you, right? And then for the length, like I said, the length is going to be 20. And remember, this has 2 layers. So it depends on you what you want to do. If you want, you can do 1 layer. You can make the 2 of them the same length. Like let's say you can cut a Akara fabric that is the same length all the way to the waist. Instead, you're just going to shorten one by make 120 and then make 115 at the top of it, right? So like this is double layer. Let me go back again. This is double layer, right? And the length of our bottom is 20. So it depends on you what you want to do. If you want, this is the length I have here. Just cut 20 and then the same width at the waist. We're talking about the length now. You can cut 20 and then the one at the top of it, make it 15. But they are all the same width. Or if you want, you can just cut the one at the top to be, let's say 15 if you're working with 20, and then the one at the bottom you can just use lining to complete the length, which is what I'm going to do here, because I don't want to use this fabric double on my waist. It's going to bulk up and I don't want it that way, because I'm not small. So if I do double layer of flay, it's going to be too puffy. So I decided to use lining halfway through by the waist, and then end the bottom part that is visible with just Akara, and then the upper part that is going to be covered with the first layer, it is going to be lining, but the part you're seeing at the bottom is going to be Akara fabric. So like I said, my bottom part is going to be 20 inches, right? So this one I have here, so what I did is that I measured 20. I want the first layer to be 15. Since I'm working with 20 for the whole length of the flay, that's the flay, like this is the flay, right? The flay part of the skirt. I'm working with 20 inches from here to here, right? So I decided to stop at 15 for the first one. The one that will be visible, the one on top, is going to be 15. So to that 15, I'm going to, right now I'm talking about the length, I'm going to add 1.5 to it. 1 inch of hemming the end, like you see I've already done here, right? And then half an inch to join it to the waist of this upper bodice. You see my upper bodice, half an inch to join to this half an inch here. So that's 1.5. That will leave me with 16.5 for the first layer. This is the first layer here, right? So if I measure this now, you see that it's 15.5 now, because I've already hemmed the end of my clothes. You see that I've hemmed it, right? I've hemmed the end here. So now, but for the second layer, the one that I said that I'm going to be joining to a lining, this is it here. So what I did here is that this one here is the one that is going to be complete length. Remember, like I said, this is the shorter one, the one on top, which is 15. But the full length of my skirt is supposed to be 20, which is going to be the second layer. But because I don't want to do like the complete Akara, if you want to do the complete Akara, just cut the same thing again. How you cut this, the same width, that's your waist times 2.5, the width. the length, whatever length you're working with, plus 1.5. You're subtracting 5 because you want it to be shorter by 5 inches, right? So now this is what I'm doing here. This is the one I'm going to use to complete the second layer, and then this is my lining that is going to help me complete it. You see my lining here, the width is quite long here. You see, this is my lining here. You see, it's also rectangular like this, and it's on a fold. Just akara all the way to the end, right? It should have been just an akara fabric all the way to the end, but like I said, I don't want it too puffy like that. So I decided to use lining because lining is light. It's going to just flay down on its own, and then the akara will be at the bottom. So how I calculated the length here, like I said, it's supposed to be, when I'm done with everything, hemming the end of my clothes, I'm supposed to be left with 20. So because this is the longer one, so if I'm going to be left with 20, what I have for this one here is 10. See, 10 inches here on the dot. Lining itself, if I measure it, you see I have 12. This is because, let me place this half an inch on top of this one now. So I'm going to use half an inch at the end of this here. I told you now that this one, if I is 12, and then if I measure this one, it's 10, right? But then half an inch at the bottom of this is going to join to half an inch at the upper part of this one, right? So now half an inch is gone from the two of them. Let me measure it back again. So I'm just left with about 21.5 because I still need 1 inch to hem the end here. I'm going to use 1 inch to hem the end here and half an inch to join the upper part. So basically, whatever lining you're cutting, know that you're going to need half an inch at the bottom here, half an inch at the upper part here. This half an inch at the upper part is to join it to the bottom of the upper part of the skirt. The half an inch here is to join this akara to this lower part here, and then 1 inch is to close up the end, like to hem the end of your cloth, the one that will be facing the floor. This part here is facing our waist. Here is the center part that is joined together, and then this is the end of the cloth that is going to be facing the floor. So let me go ahead now and join this to the bottom of my lining. Once I join it to the bottom of my lining, I'm going to then take this upper part here and join it to this here so that you guys. So guys, this is it here. So you see, I went ahead and just joined the shoulder to the shoulder, closed up the back seam, added all my darts, and then now what I'm going to do is that, you see, one side here I've hemmed it. So if you're using lining, you're going to do this part first. You're going to cut off the shoulder first so that you can use lining to turn everything over before any other thing. So, but I'm not using lining, so I just went ahead and just used bias to run mine over. So the next thing I'm going to do is that this is the side without the lining. This is the side with, sorry, the side without bias. So basically, you're going to just cut your basic off shoulder top and then use lining to turn it over how you normally turn an off shoulder top. Close up the sides, but let me cut mine now. So if you look at her own, you notice that the back is deep. So I'm just going to cut the first one to be shallow, and then after that I'll go back in and chip more from the back to reduce it even more. From this armhole here, I'm going to just blend it in to where the shoulder is, this part of the shoulder where the seam is here. So I'm going to just mark all the way to that point, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. So you see, this is one side here. So this part is out now. So it's one shoulder. So normally, if you're using lining, you would cut this first and then go ahead, use your lining, turn everything over, both the sleeve, sew everything together, right? So you're just going to cut exactly the same pattern on a lining and then use it to turn it over. So now I'm going to go back to the back. I want to go in at the back here. This is the back. You see my seam here. I just use a very easy seam that I can always lose to hold the back together because I still have to put in my zip. So this seam here is not tight. So now for the back, I'm going to go in again and reduce it even more. But this time around, this is just for the back alone, you see? Because her own, you notice that the back is lower. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off again. I can't do this much in front because I don't want the front that low. So, and even if you look at her own too, you notice that the front is not that low. It's just the back that is that low, right? So I can't go deeper than this. This is okay for me. I'll just let it be the way it is now. So now, with this done, I'm going to go use bias to run mine over the at the upper part. And this seam now, like I said, I'm going to lose it, the back pattern. So this is my, okay, so this is it here. It's open now. You see, I'm just going to use bias to run this over, right? But in the meantime, this is my bottom part here. What I was basically trying to explain the whole time is just that you're going to use, instead of using a carrot to cut the whole layer of your gather how you normally do, I decided to cut mine halfway through with lining, use a carrot to complete the end, and then the one that is going to cover it is going to just be a carrot all the way to the end. So this is it here. You see, it goes all the way, it covers down, it's somewhere here, and then my fabric is still here. So I have this much room here. So now let me set this aside, and I'm still going to gather this whole thing. I'm still going to gather it. You see, it's a lot. So you see, this is the fabric I used to, this is the remaining fabric I cut off from the bottom after cutting the 2 layers of my skirt, right? This is what I had left. This is the other one. So let me tell you what the length is. I'm not sure what the length is. It's about, I think, 18 or so. So this is 18 inches, right? Okay. Now I'm going to cut 2 together, and then the 2 layers of the sleeve, I'm going to be cutting it together. But after that, I'm going to reduce one. I'm going to shorten one, but I'm cutting the 2 first together. So this is how it's going to be. So this is what I did here. You notice that this is on a fold, right? Into 2. I'm cutting 2 sleeves at the same time. I'm going to angle it like this. After that, I'm going to take it the way it is. Measure the length I have here, which is going to be what? Say 18, right? I'm going to go ahead and mark 18 all the way around here. From this point, keep marking 18 all the way. Like that. Right? I'm going to mark it all the way to the end. Okay, so now I have 18. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, let me just remove this here so that I can just set one aside like this. So this is out of the way. I'm going to cut this piece out because this is the one we need here. I just hope this is not too short, but even if it's too short, I don't want mine to be too long like our own. So I don't mind. If you want, you can cut 4 and use it for your lining too, as in 2 pieces for one, 2 pieces for one. But no, I'm going to use lining to do mine instead of using four layers of fabric. I feel like it will be too much. And yeah, so now after that, I'm going to come down here by like at least like 3 inches, right? 3 inches here, or 2.5, it depends on you. Just so, this is just so I can give it some curve here. So 2.5 is okay, just to remove this sharp edge here, and then I'm going to cut it off like this, like that. After this is done, you see, this is the upper part of my sleeve. I've removed that sharp end. So this is going to be, let me go ahead and notch it. This here is going to be the upper part of my sleeve, and then this is the end. So let me separate it. Like I said, I have 2. I'm going to shorten one. So this one here, I can shorten it by 3. So let me reduce the length. Like I said, it has 2 layers, right? I'm just going to eyeball it. You see, if you look at it, you see I cut everything equal. You see, so this is about, I think, 2.5 or so. But you can shorten yours even more. If your sleeve is longer, then you can shorten it. Okay, so mine is 2.5. So this is okay for me. I don't want to do too much. So now I have one. And if you want yours wider, like if you feel like this angle is not okay, that you still want it wider, then don't use 18. You know how I measured mine? And the length like this, the length of the square before I folded it was 18. You can go ahead and do like 24 or 26. It depends on you. That way when you fold it, you still get more width. But I feel like this is okay for me. I don't want it too wide. So now I'm going to go ahead and trace the same thing on a lining. This same here, I'm going to trace this on a lining like this, and then place it. So let's say this is my lining now. I'm just going to use it, turn it over, place it on top of it like this, sew the end like this, sew this corner, and then from this upper part, this small upper part here is where I'm going to flip it and iron it. So I'm going to do it for the 2 of them. So I'm going to use lining to turn it over, and then I'll bring it back so we can join it to the sleeve. But before then, I'll use bias, finish up this upper part of my neckline, and then join the bottom together to the dress. This is the dress here. I'm joining everything together. You see, I'm joining it together like this. So this is the upper part, this is the lower part here. You see. So now let me put it this way. So this is the side with the shoulder, this is the side without the shoulder. So one more thing that we have to do is the sleeve. Like I was saying before. So this is one sleeve here, and then this is the second sleeve. I've ironed it. Like I said, you're going to use lining to turn it over. Just cut exactly the same thing on lining. So the corner, the 3 sides like this, and then from this small opening at the top, from this small opening here, pull everything out and iron it down. So I have one sleeve here, and then I have the second sleeve. You see that one is smaller, so this is the one on the outer, and then this is the second one. So the shorter one is on the outer part, and then this is it here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it the way it is now on my shoulder. This is the shoulder here. You see, this is the off shoulder going down here. On this shoulder here, I'm going to take it, turn it around like this, turn it around from the inside. I'm going to sew it on this collar. So I'm going to sew all this on this side here. Let me bring it so you see. So this is this is it here. One here, the second one, right? Take it the way it is. I've already notched it, so I know where the notch is. You see the notch, this angle here. I'm going to take it on my shoulder here. This is the shoulder of my clothes, like this. This is the armhole. This is the shoulder. This is the center part towards the neckline. You see, this is the center going towards the neckline. This is the part going towards my armhole. On this part here, I'm going to take this the way it is here. I'm going to use 1/2 inch to sew it on the inner part. Sew it down this way. So once I finish sewing it, it's going to fall over from the inside. So it's going to cover the whole of my shoulder. You're not sewing it on the outer part here, like how you normally join your sleeve here. No, we're sewing it on the inner part. But how we're sewing it is that you will use 1/2 inch here to sew it on the inner part here. Once you're done, turn it over here, and then it's going to fall on top of your shoulder all the way down. So guys, you see, I've sewn it on the shoulder. You see, this is it on the shoulder, this is it here, just like this. So now I'm going to just flap it over on top like this. You see, just like that. It's joined to this shoulder like this. This is it here. So you're going to double stitch it up on both ends. So this is now my dress here. You see, this is now my dress here. It came from the inner part, so it's covering everything just like that. So that's basically it here. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, guys. This is the bottom here. This is the end of the dress. You see, if I raise it, you see my lining, and then this is the back here with the zipper. If you notice that you need a dart, you might need a dart at the top of your bust on the off shoulder part, or by the armhole on the sleeveless part. You can go ahead and add a tiny dart. I added like 1/2 inch dart on that side too. And then this is the back with the zipper here. So that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.